Donald Trump voters continue to express their deep regrets online and elsewhere. Posts like this on conservative message boards. I voted for Trump because I thought it would be funny to see liberals growl like dogs. I wanted affordable groceries, but the tariffs are going to make everything worse and my life savings will be gone. I can't afford to spend this money on groceries. Didn't vote for this. Look, even when you look at, let's say, a blue state like California, but you look at some of the red areas, which tend to be the areas with more farmers, like take a look at Kern County and Fresno right there. These are areas that voted for Donald Trump, about 60% in Kern County, about 50% in Fresno. I think Trump was the first Republican to flip Fresno County since 2004. But now let's take a look at the Fresno Bee. California farmers fear tariff trade war, losses in billions, uneven bailouts. You have a letter from a group including that includes the names of nearly 24 of the state's most influential farming organization, including the California Farm Bureau, Western Growers, and American Pistachio Growers. It says in part that the emerging trade measures could trigger retaliatory tariffs that will hurt California farmers, who exports totaled $23.6 billion in 2022. Take a look at the recent article from the Business.
U.S. farmers are regretting their vote for Donald Trump after their business suffers. Womp womp. Since China implemented their tariffs, farmers are suffering because soybean farmers, especially in the Midwest, are not being able to export as much as they're used to. I wonder why. Yet they voted for him anyway. They voted for him about 2 or 3 times, actually. I don't know how you thought voting for him would help you in your business when creating tariffs will probably hurt you, and he's said he's going to do this multiple times, but you know. Another example of Americans thinking that other parts of the world need them the most. Brazil is the #1 soybean import for China. They don't need the U.S. Brazil is steadily increasing the production year after year after year, while the U.S. has remained stagnant. And y'all thought Donald Trump getting in office will help y'all? You put somebody in office who directly hinders your business. I need these people to take a survey so I can understand why they make the decisions that they do. But again, womp womp. You put somebody in office because of reasons, and now you're paying the price because of those same reasons. You just thought they wouldn't affect you.
Was going to lose this much money this fast.
Jim is a Republican who voted for Donald Trump 3 times.
How do you feel about your vote for Donald Trump now?
Well, I feel like perhaps I should have considered some other options.
The past 2 years, Jim has been selling honey to the federal government, which then provides it to schools and food banks. But after Donald Trump took office, the USDA cut those programs suddenly as part of the federal government's effort to streamline spending.
For a lot of other local farmers around here, it was a major source of reliable revenue. For me, it's going to cost me around $150,000 a year.
$150,000?
Yeah, roughly 50% of my revenue.
That's a huge hit.
That's a massive hit.
Now listen, I don't hear Trump talking about the economy anymore. Do any of you hear him talking about lowering the price of eggs and all that? He don't talk about none of that no more. No. What he is talking about is how he gonna get that Greenland. That's what he's saying, how he gonna get Greenland. He ain't thinking about the economy. He ain't thinking about helping people. Because he too worried about how he gonna get Greenland, how he gonna get Canada, how he gonna keep the corruption going. That's all he worried about. He ain't concerned about you, Trumpsters. I think you all done found out now that you all been bamboozled. Flim-flammed. Oh, shit. Shanghai. Whatever you want to say, you all done been had. Yeah, you have.
Wow. When black and white farmers start speaking out like that, it really tells you this ain't just about politics. This is just too personal, you know. Guys, if you're new here, this is where we break things down the way they are. Now, if you're feeling this already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I got more coming in your way.
U.S. farmers are starting to regret their vote for Trump. From beekeepers to soybean to hay producers, all of them are starting to say, I never thought that voting for Trump 3 times would result in me losing tens of thousands of dollars. A beekeeper out of North Carolina says, yeah, I proudly voted for Trump all 3 times. I flew flags for him and put signs for him in the yard. But now I'm out tens of thousands of dollars due to lost federal funding and tariffs, so I cannot export my products, my honey and my wax, to other countries like I could before, and nobody's buying it in the United States. Hay producers in Idaho and Utah that export alfalfa hay to China are now seeing 135% tariffs put on their product, and all of a sudden, they don't have anywhere to ship it. They held it all winter in hopes of sending it off to China in the spring, and now China's not willing to buy. Soybean producers are once again being hit harder than they were in the first Trump administration, and China, for its part, has diversified where it pulls these products from, with Brazil becoming the #1 soybean exporter, and other countries picking up the slack for honey, for beeswax, and for hay around the world. Now, China's doing a great job diversifying, and the United States has relied on exports to China for so long that it's...
I wanted to start off by saying I did vote for Donald Trump. We are possibly going to lose our farm if NRCS doesn't hold up their contract with us on the EQIP program. So the reason that they're not able to hold up the contract is our EQIP program, which is cost sharing on fences, waters, a well, and some seedings, was funded by the Inflation Reduction Act. Because of the executive orders, there's a pause or a freeze on the funding through the Inflation Reduction Act, and they're not able to pay out on the stuff that we completed or anything going forward. I'm not the only one this is affecting. So there are other farmers in the comments saying that they're in the same boat that I'm in because they signed these contracts, and the contracts, even like, so whenever I looked into the contract, I made sure that that funding was set aside. It wasn't funding that, oh, we hope it's there whenever it's done. I made sure that that funding was set aside so that way before I made these business decisions, I knew that funding was there per contract. So they're backing out on the contract because they don't have the funding. They can't release the funds.
You know what's crazy? These folks really believed in something. They've voted for it, they hoped for it, and now they're really stranded, standing in flooded fields, wondering if they just got played. You know, you got black farmers out here saying he talked like he understood us, and now there's no help, there's silence, there's delay. You know, hurts because a lot of us been shouting this for years. You know, that it's never really about the people, it's about the power. And the ones most affected, they're the ones doing the hard work, they're the ones who are growing the food, they're the ones who are waking up before sunrise, they're the ones who are forgotten. Okay? Now listen. This is not about left or right. This is about survival. And when some people you trusted leave you hanging like this, that's a betrayal. Keep watching, the next clips are even heavier.
Fuck me to tears, Kyle. They done took our damn funding away. Now we ain't got none to sell. What's wrong, boss? What you mean, what's wrong? Look around, Kyle. What you see? I don't see nothing, boss. Goddamn right, none. All we wanted them was to get rid of goddamn illegals. Even cigars, Pedro, Pablo, and Pinche. I don't think his name was Pinche, boss. I think it was Pinche Pendejo. Whatever his goddamn name was. That orange-haired turd cutter. All we wanted was to make America white again. Come on, Kyle, get in the goddamn truck. We're gonna apply for some assistance. Hey, boss, I think they took our assistance away, too. God damn it! Fuck me to tears, Gordo. They done took fuck, I fucked up. That orange-haired turd cutter, diaper-wearing little dick sucks Elon Musk from the back, and then he cradles the nutsacks. Around, what you see? I don't see. Oh shit, boss! He ripped his pants.
Yeah, I want to jump on the bandwagon of saying that I regret my vote for Trump. My whole family does. My husband and I own a farm in Ohio that was funded through the Inflation Reduction Act, which Biden signed into law. And now the executive orders from Trump are rolling back all of that funding for us, so now we can no longer afford our farm. And when all that happened, it was like a lightning bolt hit my brain, and I realized that I shouldn't just be voting for myself, that Trump's policies and EOs are hurting millions of people, but it took it affecting me personally to understand what I had done was wrong. And I think it's really important for anyone to come out who voted for him and is now negatively impacted by the executive orders, or maybe you have friends or family, especially in minority communities, who are being very heavily impacted by what's going on right now. So yeah, I think it's time for us to stop being so selfish maybe, and to vote for what's best for the country instead of just in our tiny little bubble, because we're all in the same boat now and we're all equally screwed by our new president.
Well, it's official. The United States Senate is dead. Last night, the U.S. Senate announced to the world that they are no longer an independent legislative body. They announced to the world that they are nothing but an appendage of the Trump White House. Nothing but a rubber stamp for whatever the hell he wants to do. Because last night they voted to confirm Pete Hegseth as Secretary of Defense. A guy who is the single most unqualified Secretary of Defense in our nation's history. And not only is he unqualified in terms of his lack of relevant professional experience, but he is also disqualified because of his loathsome personal behavior and horrendous character. This is a really bad guy, and it is exceedingly dangerous to put this man in charge of the Department of Defense. But these senators on the Republican side, except for 3, all voted to confirm this man, who they all know has no business being Secretary of Defense. And they did it for one reason: because they are cowards. They are afraid to do what is right because they are afraid of Donald Trump. They are afraid that Donald Trump can end their political career with a single tweet if they get on his bad side. Because the base of the Republican Party is a cult in service of one man, Donald Trump. And if they don't do what he wants, they know that their career could be over in a second.
The division is growing, and the irony is almost too rich. After years of chanting "drain the swamp," they're now realizing that the biggest swamp creature of them all was the one they worshipped.
If you're a Trump supporter, just know that there are 4 things that everybody who's not a Trump supporter thinks about you. And so far, you've done nothing to disprove these things. 1, you're uneducated. And I don't mean uneducated in the sense that you didn't go to school and learn to read or do basic arithmetic. I mean you're uneducated as far as what's going on in the world. You got goggles on, only paying attention to what you want to pay attention to. Dose, you lack empathy. You don't care what happens to somebody else as long as it doesn't happen to you. Imagine for a moment the government started saying, hey, your marriage is illegal. How would you feel about that? How would you feel about that? But you don't care that it's happening to gay people as long as it doesn't happen to you. 3, you lack independent thinking skills, meaning you are incapable of forming your own thoughts, opinions, or viewpoints on things. You need pundit talking points from Fox News or whatever, that other OAN. You need those people to tell you what to believe. You don't have the ability to look into those claims and maybe think something else. It's a confirmation bias. You live in this bubble and you refuse to step outside of it. 4, and I think this is the most important one. I think this is the one you really need to work on if you have the ability, and that is critical thinking. Critical thinking is the ability to look at a situation and say to yourself, you know what, that's kind of fucked up. That's not right, and you can't do that. So I look forward to all the laughing emoji reactions to this video, because the people that I just made these claims about don't have the ability to defend themselves. So they do so just with the laughing emoji. So fire away.
It's really interesting how every time
In this episode of Oops, My Bad, farmers who rallied behind the orange diaper wearing felons' tough talk on immigration are now harvesting regret. With ice raids sweeping through their fields, many are wondering who exactly is left to pick the produce. Turns out, deporting your entire workforce isn't great for the bottom line. And while billion-dollar agribusinesses cash in on subsidies, small-town farmers are left holding the tractor keys and the bag. Some say it's a bitter crop of promises sown, now ripe for reaping. Missouri cattleman Skylar Holden, who voted for Trump after taking an online quiz, yes, really, now says, "We are possibly going to lose our farm if the USDA doesn't hold up their contract with us." Meanwhile, Kansas vegetable growers Jacob and Jennifer Thomas report a 10% revenue drop after Trump slashed food program funding, with Jacob admitting, "The financial insecurity makes my depression worse." From pride to panic, it's a bumper crop of regret.
Now, if this video hit you in any way, please drop a comment, share it with someone else, and make sure you subscribe if you haven't already. This channel is about truth, it's about unity, and about keeping our eyes open. No matter what flag they are waving, you just stay safe, and as always, love and peace to all of you. Bye bye.